TruthSeekah and or its affiliates are not responsible for any strange phenomena that may occur during or after listening to this podcast, which may include the following: heightened senses of awareness, psychic abilities, UFO sightings, alien contact, time loss, out-of-body experiences, ringing in the ears, ESP, lucid dreaming, increased synchronicities, astral projection, telepathy, stronger intuition, levitation, miraculous healings, and or remote viewing. Please be advised to listen at your own discretion.
Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? To a place to walk on troubled seas, faith to stand when I don't believe. I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come?
You are now locked into the TruthSeekah podcast.
Gargoyles, psychics, everything's ungodly. Dark Savage.
Streaming live at TruthSeekah.com.
She's not a Christian.
Give it up, y'all.
Your portal to the paranormal, esoteric, and all things spiritual.
She's tampering in dark sided stuff.
And now, your host, TruthSeekah.
Yo, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is the TruthSeekah podcast, and I'm your host by the same name, TruthSeekah. What's going on? Excited and delighted again to be with you guys and share this sacred space to talk about all things spiritual, spirituality, and really the phrase we've been saying over and over is what's working. Is it working for you? So if it's not working, maybe we should cut it out. But if it is working, let's bring it to the table. Let's share it and share these techniques and things that seem to be working. We're getting results from it. And whatever that may be, whatever path you're on, if it's bringing peace and love and light to humanity, let's talk about it. Let's bring it to the table. So we got an exciting show for you guys today. I want to say a quick thank you to everybody who is supporting my work on Patreon, patreon.com/TruthSeekah. So there's a bunch of you guys who are supporting me month to month over there. And there's different levels of giving, and there's different rewards and tiers that you can unlock with the giving, anywhere from $1 a month to $5, $10, whatever you can do. Anything helps. And so we have exclusive Patreon only groups over there. We've got exclusive merch. My whole discography is available for download. That's 10 plus albums, as well as my triptych source, Awaken the Fire, Spiritual Alchemy, and 333, the 3 latest albums that I've done on the spiritual vein. So all that's available for, you get that with the Patreon membership. So with that being said, thank you guys again from the bottom of my heart. You guys are awesome. Today's show, we're going to be discussing spirituality. Like I said, I got a special guest. We've been trying to make this happen for a while. This guest goes live on Facebook and has a pretty huge following, does prayer groups and meditations and things like that, speaking over people. Some really, I want to say it's deep, but it's a lot of stuff that he talks about that was common known. So like a lot of the spirituality and stuff was commonly known by our ancestors. And so he talks about a lot of it, and he's keeping it alive. And so without further ado, Royce Gay, what's going on, my brother? Welcome to the show.
Hey, nice to meet you, brother. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, finally was able to connect and make it work, man.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. I'm trying to get hooked up right now with my YouTube so I can share it out on Facebook. But I'm having problems with the. I've been having problems from the moment that the world started awakening. You know, it's an everyday battle. You know what I mean? If you're not grounded in prayer, you're not surrounded in prayer, you can easily be taken out of your element because of the forces. I like to say centrifugal forces that are out there because of the negativity we look at our history, and we look at our history, and it's a history that a lot of our ancestors are probably not proud of, but because of this time right now, 2017, with the Eagle and Condor prophecy, I think it's called redemption. I've called it redemption many times because of the profound truth. What our ancestors are doing is sharing the knowledge and the wisdom through science, through meditation, through prayer, through love and light. You know, how they're able to reach out to us through, I want to say, innate memory. And that innate memory is what is connecting the world, because my great ancestor is Crazy Horse. So I have a bloodline that comes down. And my family has, for years and years, since he's passed away, has maintained his medicine, his bundle, his sacred items that we've kept hidden from the world, because of the fact that when people want to steal a power, and it was a power that was given to him at a time to take all the Europeans off this continent with evil. And after he passed away, our family had a ceremony. In that ceremony, he wanted nothing but good to come to that helper, which was called an Ia. And nobody evil should touch that to this day. And so his vision was, upon great suffering, the red nation shall rise and be a blessing for a sick world longing for the light. And during that time, there will be people from his band, his tribe, his Teoshpai, who will carry that sacred knowledge and will unite the world through, we are all related, one heart, one mind. And I see it happening. Honestly, I didn't think it would come to pass, because in 2013, I had been paralyzed and told I would never walk again, because of the fact that I was running from my responsibility as the next person to hold that item. And I didn't want it because of the magnitude of power. And what most people wanted out of that is, hey, let me have it, let me get that, let me take care of that. And I didn't want nothing to do with it, because I respected it and I feared it.
Yeah.
And because of that, it's worked for me. And so in our ceremonies, they told me they took your legs because we could no longer wait for you no more, because we have to make this prayer. You have a prayer that's powerful, that's going to change the world. And I cried because I think about the prayer. And the prayer was only bringing the people together through love, and compassion. And at a time when we have all this hatred, this disaster, I call it the chaos in the matrix, because of at the time when all the pieces of the puzzle were scattered, and systematically they started coming together on their own. I don't know. I don't believe in dark magic, but I believe in the magic of our ancestors who come together through positivity, through bringing you and I, the four races of mankind, because in a sense, this world is a melting pot of ethnicities, and somewhere along the way, you have an innate quality that says that you are descended from a Native American ancestor. And we are all from this planet. We're not from Mars or Jupiter. I like to say Uranus. Because I try to keep humor into the perspective, because when people get into that dogma of stigmata, religion versus science, then it becomes, the drawing the line. But if we're able to use the humor and the compassion and show it all in one big perspective, we're able to awaken a lot more people, because in all reality, we are oblivious to the fact that, prayer is right there. And once we acknowledge our spirits and we feed our spirit, then the change comes within. And we have, like I was pointing out, I don't know if you're familiar with the Wolf Spirit Radio, a guy named David Corso.
Mm-hmm.
David Corso with the Project Camelot. And Project Camelot is the universal soldiers that they were building, the government was building. And, see, my father fits that criteria, and it comes in that aspect where he was abandoned, he was orphaned, and he grew up, his Vietnam era. He was a co-talker for the government, Navy. He served in the Navy. When he passed away, we got all these military honors, and we didn't even know he was in the military, and he hid that. And when I signed up for the first Desert War, Iraq, he says, don't go to the war. stay home and get educated and fight your people's battle. I'm like, what are we talking about? You know? And so after he passed away, then we knew that there was something bigger coming, you know, as an aspect of religion, science. He was smart, man, and he was working on his dissertation. He was a tribal laws and treaty attorney before he passed away. And so 2017 with Standing Rock and the Awakening, it was, I've sat one night and I watched all these people call them falling stars, right? They're not falling stars. They're actually helpers that were alive at one time in this world who became energy and returned to the light, to the source. And they came back at a time to help us all reconnect. So each one of us have these eons. I got my eon over there. I carry my eon with me all the time because of the fact that it's a helper. It's a spiritual guide, like a talisman. And it's helped me in my journey so far. I've been, when I was at Standing Rock, I was able to, we go into prayer, and I could tell you who the fake people were, and who the real people were, and who the infiltrators were, and the detractors who were coming. And a lot of times they said, how do you know all of that? Well, go to ceremony. I said, a lot of the people go into ceremony to talk. You guys go to a church to talk about God, but we go into ceremony to talk to God because of what's happening. Mm-hmm. And it's supposed to happen this time because people are waiting. They call this country the New Jerusalem, and they call it, the awakening. They're waiting for the Messiah. And I've always been coined this whole year. I probably went crazy twice. I probably almost jumped off the deep end. I almost bit the bullet because of this overwhelming. Because at one time I had 166,000 followers that were right there in the prayer room that would pray. Mm-hmm. And I told people that there's 7.4 billion people in this world. And in this country, I want to say there's like 34 million people that are awakening, that are understanding the fact that you can no longer take the lifeblood from Mother Earth, Omicron, the fossil fuel depletion, and the signs are right there. Because when I was telling people, and I do the ceremonies, prayers of ancestors, and they give us the clues that we need, but you have to do it sober. You can't be drug and alcohol. You can't be induced. Like a lot of people say ayahuasca when they go on a Gaia trip. They're in Gaia, and we do it on the Red Road, which is sober, drug and alcohol free. But we go into a vision quest, and we don't eat for 4 to 7 days without food and water. And so we're up on the hill praying. And in my family, we go in the pit. And so we go in the pit and we pray and we ask the Creator for the clues, the signs, the guides to tell us, guideposts to help us on our journey. And it's kind of weird because everything just kind of hit, and we were going to stop a pipeline, and we turned out to find, all these other things, the child pornography ring, the corruption in the government, all the collusion,
mm-hmm.
All corporate tyrannical raiders, and it was even said that we were at a time where, what do we call it? They was calling Trump the Antichrist. And so I've met so many people that had told me, you're an archangel called Ariel from the future. I'm like, no way. So I started having these weird dreams where these people were screwing these giant wings on my back. It got crazy because, listening to it every day, being told that the Masau, the Messiah, and all these things that are coming are coexisting with now. And I did my brother with the Love and Light Warriors. I call them the family. We did it during the night before the eclipse. We did this song, this love song. It's called L369. So when I sing, I resonate in my harmonic convergence. I have a vibrate at a higher level. And so when I was singing, and it came back to frequency of L369, and that's mm-hmm. new to me because I've never heard anything of that. So it was pretty awesome. But the thing was, everything fell into place.
Yeah.
and so it's just kind of amazing how awakening just kind of spread to all these other. So I don't judge nobody. I'm not saying you can't do it this way. There's no right way or wrong way.
Yeah.
It's all, people call them hoppers, but I call it's a meshing of different vibes and different religions. different views. Well, it's not really religious; it's spiritual aspects.
Yeah, they call it hopper. I never even heard that term. That's interesting. I'm probably one of those.
Well, my sister said those are hoppers. Have you heard of hoppers? No, but you see, it's whatever works.
Yeah.
Whatever works. It's a great thing because we all have a different. Like I've met so many people that have fallen out from the churches.
Yeah, and there's some stuff in the churches that work, and why not hold on to what works? Yeah.
And so, I don't ask people. I'm not telling people to step away or not judgmental, saying you have to do it this way.
Yep.
And I was taught that my uncle always taught me. He says, when you grow up, you have this road that was chosen for you, and I ran from it because of the responsibility and going into a sweat lodge at an early age, and that's become my life. And so I was taught one way. And so when these other ways come in and they want to mash, I'm always open-minded because in all reality, the aspect is there's some truth to everything. There's a lot of truth. When you look down at it, it's okay. One of these persons told me, why would you go to a psychic? They use the pendulum when they're feeding off of your energy. Because of your energy, you emit a higher frequency. So your energy, you're really off the charts, and they're reading your vibe, and they already know. We already know the answers to everything that we're seeking. And so what we're seeking is truth and knowledge and wisdom, and we already have that instilled in us. And it's great thing. It's a great thing because all that comes into play when we sleep, when we want to ascend to a higher level of consciousness. Because that's all. It's every million years they say the Earth evolves, so does the human race. And so we are ascending too as well. So.
I know we was talking about before we went live being led by our ancestors and being watched over and being beckoned. And so a lot of people are getting this message to return to the indigenous ways, return to earth, take your shoes off, put your feet on the ground and return to the earth. Talk a little bit about this calling we have, and most people don't know what it's coming from, whether it's our ancestors or the angelic beings or the star beings or whatever. And I think it's a little bit of all of it, but talk a little bit about the ancestral calling us back to the original religion, the religion of the earth.
What we were sharing was a lot of our ancestors were energy, we're light, and when we are born, my brother just passed away. My brother passed away like a year. He's going on a year. He's a helper now. He's a light. He's a little energy. And he comes and helps a lot of these people cross over. And when he passed away, right before Standing Rock, he got in this bad mix. And he ended up sundancing for me because I couldn't sundance because I couldn't walk. So he says, brother, I'm going to dance for you. And right before he danced, he came. He told me, he says, I just wish people in this world would just get along. There would be no judgmental people, that we could all have, the ability, because he went up to prison for drugs, And so turning and looking at his life in perspective and how he died and how I was upset and we were going to go and take care of some business. And my uncle said, hold on, nephew, because pretty soon you're going to be called. A lot of people you're going to be called to pray and heal a lot of people. And that was Standing Rock. And so that Standing Rock, I call it the eighth fire that was burning inside of us. That is internally, it's like the light switch, because a lot of our people, we've probably been so ingrained in, what we thought, we've been taught for years, it's, do it this way. It has to go, you have to go to church. You have to pay your nobody's really paying any dues or any penance. And so they kind of like fell away from the church. They fell away from their belief of a spiritual aspect of what a higher power is, or God. So when Standing Rock came and the Native Americans were talking about, spiritual aspect of, the spirit, creator, the source. And then a lot of people had awakened, and the message was to return to, simple way of life, stepping away from, all that corporate tyrannical greed and wanting to go and return to having a simple life, living off the land, See, I started this, I went to a ceremony. I went out to Standing Rock. I went to Standing Rock, and then right before the December 4th deadline, I went to Washington. So I spoke with a lot of the senators and legislators and Republicans in Washington, and we did we probably in a 5-day that week we were there. We probably hit every state senator that was there, and we talked about the deadline, and I had said, and I'm not worried about the native people. I'm worried about all my relatives, and all my relatives are the four races of mankind, because we were all together at this time. It was a calling, and it brought us all together. And I have a home. I can go home to my home. These other relatives that dropped everything and left everything behind, traveled from thousands of miles away, have nowhere to go. Those are my family that I'm worried about. So they did a bipartisan letter, and I was on the way home. I lay over in Ohio, and then I heard the news. It's the great-grandson of Crazy Horse in Washington, who does not want fame and fortune, but is worried about the December 4th deadline for his people. And from then on, it just kind of like blew up, boom, and then the cutoff, the date, all of that stuff that happened, a little reprisal where everybody got to celebrate. And then they came in, North Dakota came in hard and fast, kind of wanted everybody out of there. And there was a lot of finger pointing, a lot of blaming, but the same thing, what remained was people forgot. It was a prayerful and peaceful. If we remain prayerful and peaceful, everything that we had worked for was going to be restored to us. And so wanting to share that knowledge and that wisdom with the world, because it's simple. If we have a spiritual way of life, I don't care if we're Wiccans or if you're devil worshippers or your spiritual aspect, your spiritual being, you still have a belief in that higher power. Mm-hmm. So having that simple way of life is something we've been called. We were Native Americans, but we've been called devil worshippers for years because of our ability to contact the spirits. Yeah. And so like I was talking about that Universal Soldier with David Corso. I never knew David Corso. I did a show on Will Spirit Radio. And they asked me, have you met a guy named David? So now I don't know anybody named David. Oh, hold on, wait a minute. We did a ceremony. I met a guy named David on the other side. And he said he was sorry. And she said, yeah, his name was David Crisol. He spoke highly of you. And 2017 was the year of this great awakening where a lot of people are going to be awakened because of the earth changes. And a lot of people are going to return to sustainable communities, because of all the GMOs and genetically modified organisms and all the other stuff that we were losing our ability to fight off diseases on our own. Yeah. So we have holistic healing. A lot of these plants that are out there, if we were able to go and plant our own. I've been chewing on OSHA root for 3 years. I haven't had any cold. I haven't had any major illnesses other than my spinal injury.
I've got some that I actually chewed on last week.
Yeah.
The first time I did it, I actually bought it at the powwow, and we had some congestion going on, and I got high off of it. I was walking around. I was like, oh wow, this is weird. Let me save this, man. I was like walking around the powwow, buzzing like zoom zoom. Like, oh, this is some powerful, potent stuff, man.
It's real strong because to me it smells like celery. My girlfriend says I can tell when you're eating OSHA because you smell up the whole house, and it's like garlic, but it's a holistic healing. It's upper respiratory. It was used highly during when they were putting a lot of these. I guess they were spraying. I don't know. I can't remember offhand. A lot of these contagions. When they were spraying a lot of that stuff in the air, fluting more people out there to stand up. But yeah, if we are able to return to that type of way of life, I think we would all be able to, because of the stories from the Bible, from the stories from our ancestors. Oh yeah, there it is, huh? And so we're able to live accordingly to our ancestors, and our ancestors were. My girlfriend, she's a Nawa, she's Apache, she's Mexican, and she's never known. We went to a ceremony, and they told her in a ceremony that you guys are from the Eagle and the Condor Nation because during this prophecy, and she still has trouble with accepting it, but a lot of things that she has saw come to pass, come to fruition, that's kind of like amazed her because of the prayers, the ancestors that are there on the other side. And they're there. When you die physically, a physical death is nothing but a spiritual rebirth. And so my brother is always with us. And so we always feed him. We feed him. I put out my little water. I got water, I carry water. So he's always hungry. When you acknowledge the spirit, is when you acknowledge that ancient custom.
That's interesting. There's a bunch of there's even some ancient Jewish stuff, and I have some friends who were into Messianic Judaism, and it's weird because it seemed weird to us as an outsider, but as we went over to their house to eat, they would make a plate in a table at this table, and they would put food on it and everything for whether it was the spirit. I think they did it for. I know they do it during Hanukkah.
Okay.
I believe it's the Hanukkah meal, or the Passover meal. I can't remember right off, but they actually do it for Elijah out of the Bible, and they have a ritual where the kids go to the door and look for Elijah to come, and they always have a table for him at their gatherings, which is you know what I'm saying, very similar to what you're talking about, to acknowledging, and it almost sounds like, well, you know, in the hood where you have a 40 and you pour out some liquor for the homies. Yeah. You can almost see it kind of reflecting back to that a little bit too.
Yeah, that it's kind of like an ancient custom. But in our ceremonies, that what we're told is that when you acknowledge your ancestors, is when they're really happy because they crossed over. And if you think about our history, there's a lot of our relatives that have taken their lives to completion, to suicide, to alcohol or drugs. Yeah. And so that spirit that is stuck here in this plane is that negative energy. And so when you go back to the origins of the church, we have, I want to say, the one with the snakes. I've been reading on the Nephilims and the snakes, where from my understanding, is the Catholicism. Yeah. And the other one was the Moors, so the people of the earth. And so when you think about it, that ancient war and the good between light and darkness is still there, but yet they always say whatever was meant to be in darkness will always come to the light, and that's what's happening. It's coming to the light because this is the creators, and we call them Wakantanka, which is the great mystery. We don't know if it's a God, is a woman or a man, but we believe it's the duality of all things, the yin and the yang.
Most likely, right?
Having that acknowledgement and saying, okay, when I die, I want to go back to my ancestors because I want to be able to come back and be reborn again, because we have that cycle of life where we get to come back and experience that according to how we've lived our life. And so a lot of our ancient teachings, the star knowledge, the seven sisters of the Pleiades, the the star nations, and right now our ancestors are walking with us. And that's the crazy thing, because they have to come down in here and crack the whip and show us how it's supposed to be done. Yeah, yeah. And they're making it happen.
When it comes to the star beings and things like that, which I know every religion and every people group talk about the beings that came from the stars, wherever they came as seeds to actually seed us here or put us here or show us the way and teach us indigenous spirituality from the beginning. And I know the Native Americans have a lot of that within their tradition as well. Have you ever had any? I know you said you've seen those stars that look like shooting stars, or even look like satellites and things like that. Have you ever had any encounters with these beings in the flesh, or the ancestral spirits that actually appear?
Yeah, all the time.
That's funny, all the time.
The first time I've sundanced, I took my rite of passage, which was Sundance. Vision quest, fasting, and vision quest, and stepped into this role that I have now as a spiritual advisor. And I don't like to be called a medicine man, because a medicine man is too prolific, because, okay, you're this, but then you live by that and you go and do this. I call myself a spiritual advisor because a lot of people say you are who you are because you don't acknowledge it, but we see the healing that you cause. So a lot of people, my first Sundance, I went in Sundance, and it's offering their flesh. You go in 4 days, you step into the sacred circle, and you're in the living world and the spirit world. And your ancestors come and you watch how you perform, how you carry yourself in your prayers and everything you're doing, how you're carrying yourself, and you're leading by example. See, Crazy Horse, my ancestor, he was the norm. A lot of these people don't understand. Yet he was a half-breed. He was light complected. His Indian name was Ishtaji. So when you come with a guy named Yellow Hair, Yellow Eyes, he's not a full-blood Lakota. He's half-breed. And so that manifests into what we have going on today, a lot of mixed breeds. And so all these other warriors, Little Wound, Red Cloud, Sitting Bull, Gray Eyes, and all these ones were all the norm, who had done the same thing that Crazy Horse did, but they chose to speak more of Crazy Horse because of his task and his color and his complexion, his differentiality. So learning that Sundance and sweating and going into that Sundance, I went home after my first Sundance, I went home, and my girlfriend, my kid's mother at the time, woke me up and she said, "Look at all these lights." And there were these little lightning bugs. Yeah. They were blue and green. And they just filled the room. There was thousands of them. They just filled the whole room. and they were all over everywhere. And I was out cold. I was really tired because of dancing 4 days from sunup to sundown, no food and water. It's a 12-day ceremony, preparation during the Sundance and after. And I told her, I said, yeah, those are the ancestors. And she said, what? How do you know? I said, because they're here. They're really happy because of I completed my first Sundance. And it just got, the things were phenomenal because you will never see these things in your lifetime, but yet you see them coming to you on that level. And it's one of those things that it's surreal because you can't, you're like, hey, this is what I saw. All these lightning bugs. So, and as the years went by, we go into ceremony, they come and they pop and they explain, they speak the language. My brother never spoke Lakota, but when he passed away, we went into a ceremony and he speaks fluent Lakota. It's the language of the ancients, ancestors. So he's in there speaking, Macha, Chetan Kota, Doki, I have one Ola Kota, Loya Chi, and he says he's hungry. What can I do for you? And so I looked at my mom and says, how the hell does he speak Lakota when he never spoke Lakota when he was alive? Yeah. And she said, it's our innate memory. It's the language within a language. And so a lot of these people say it's the language that's within a language that we're able to connect to our ancestors. So, having that experience. One night, right before 2017, right before Standing Rock, 2015, I sat and watched about 300 of those falling stars come, and they came. And then when it came, I have an article. It's in the Native Hoop magazine, the 74th edition, page 94, about traditional Lakota governments, and it talks about the time before Standing Rock. It talked about, I wrote the article before Standing Rock. And then when Standing Rock came, then that article just like, hey, man, this is like a prelude to what happened. And everything that you talked about is happening. Where do you get this information? And I was talking from my ancestors, because they share with us. We're supposed to have that knowledge and share it because it's pertinent to what's going to happen in the days to come. Like with we call it spiritual law, Wope, when the sun, the eclipse, solar eclipse, nobody's ever seen that. Nobody's ever seen that before. But when that solar eclipse came, I was counting Einstein's theory of relativity, time to equal time, distance, and ratio, and I kept counting. And what I counted was 5. And I told people, okay, so we're going to have 5 natural catastrophes that's going to happen within this time period. And the hurricanes, right? And so all of that stuff that just kind of came, and it was just people looking at me like, wow, this is crazy. And I said, well, it's called Wope, it's called spiritual law. It was supposed to happen, supposed to give us the time. This is the time to change, a time to look at our life and basically look within ourselves, and this is how we want to live. We're going to see more of those earth changes if we don't, but it's just a whole lot of it's an opening to a new era of wind and solar energy. Stepping away from that fossil fuel depletion, because we have to let her heal and let her revive and regenerate. And then we go back and then you start thinking, how did these Aztecs do all these, sacrifices, blood sacrifices back then? And then we're at this point in time where it would be gruesome and be unrealistic to do that and think that way. Well,
essentially, if you want to call it the New World Order or whatever, they're still doing these sacrifices through the wars and through the famines and taking over some of the other countries and stuff like that. So there's a lot of research that the draft and the wars and things like that are essentially these mass sacrifices that they're doing, like 9/11 and some of the different catastrophes.
Oh, yeah. You bet, because right before I started Standing Rock, I was sitting on like 250 different groups on Facebook. And every day I wake up, and one day I accidentally, somebody, I don't know who it was, put me on Southern Command. Southern Command was a government watch group, and it was a government watch group that was watching people trying to get, they were looking. So I had like 269 militia groups, 3% wanting to come in and stand with us. And I was like, hey, I can't make that choice. I'm just a person that makes a prayer. So, yeah. And they're like, oh, you're the voice of this movement. I said, no, I ain't no voice. I don't know what you're talking about. And he says, no, because we've been following you and we know. And so I've met people from Freemasons, the Illuminati. And Illuminati told me, he says, we have people that are protecting you and watching over you because they've tried for years to manipulate your language, your ceremonies. They couldn't do it. And they've even tried to clone the native people, but they can't, because you can't. And so they've gone to all this gruesome, horrific shit to try to clone something that is God's law. And so it's never going to happen according to how they want it. But what's happening, all these people say, we've been watching you for years, and we know how you open up this different realm of awakening people through prayer, through Facebook, and you open up that sacred space, you've awakened millions, And so I take that as something humbling, and not to get big headed. My message starts telling me, don't get big headed, because be humble. And so when what was real more profound was all these rappers used to sing about murder, killing, and I started watching Kendrick Lamar singing, be humble, be humble. And I told my kids, man, this dude is crazy, man, because we're talking about Stand Rock and he's sitting there singing. But I did meet a lot of these rappers who came to Stand Rock under disguise of anonymous, right, using different names, And so I know they know I'm there, like The Weeknd, So a lot of that stuff, man, it's just like, you sit back and you think, man, how can we, as a human race, evolve when we have so many detractors, but yet we look at the things that we have going for us, the prayer, the unity, and acknowledging that we're all related. That's all we have. We have that faith, compassion, and that love, And so we all come from different, it's not specific to Native people. It's all people, So we all are going through the same shit, but it's different races and different calibers. But we're all able to realize that there's an awakening happening, and we're all part of that awakening. I think we should all just go with it, because we are opening that realm that's never been dealt with. Because what has the government done with us? They put fear in us. They told us how to live this way. They told us how to eat that way. Don't go to that part of the neighborhood because you're not welcome there, right? Can't sit here type of mentality. Yeah. But once we let down those barriers and cross, we're all human beings. We're all alike, and we all probably, a lot of us, Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan was the dude I read up a lot. My sister opened me up to Genghis Khan. This dude has so many kids out there, with that Fu Manchu look, and so he's made so many kids in his life. How many of them are we actually related, So I just do a lot of reading, a lot of research. I'm actually working on my master's program, closing up on my bachelor's, and I'm 7 credits into my master's program. But it's been pretty tough with this whole year. And with a lot of my friends say, that Dakota Access, the pipeline, the Apple, Enbridge, they know who you are. So they're circumventing what you're doing. They're setting out a smear campaign. They come and get your account. And so I've been, trying to find a different platform where we can use and utilize. YouTube is a good one.
They're cracking down on YouTube right now, man. Bad.
Yeah. And so trying to get people, but like I say, they can't stop the prayer.
Exactly.
And so it's opened a lot of people, awakening a lot of people. And I've had another brother had told me, he said, we can get you on a grand scale of, we can do like series, all these other platforms that we were looking at.
Yeah.
So that was an option, but, I had to step away because, my messenger, I get like 3,000 messages a day, and it's overwhelming when you just start ding, 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 and after a while.
I know. And you got work to do, right?
You got work to do. And then, like I was saying, I have 4 grown kids that are basically getting ready to go and off on their own and live and raising 3 dogs. I got 3 dogs I take care of also, and so it's a pretty good. It's a challenge. I'm always doing something, but I'm never really stagnant. So I'm constantly on the move.
Yeah.
But I do know wherever I go, I have my ancestors with me, and so that's the thing. They're always with me. And when I was going back to the Illuminati, I have a good friend who was was part, and he's opened me up to a lot of stuff, a lot of these readings and teachings and stuff, and the ritual sacrifices. You were right when you hit on 9/11. That was something that happened because they're needing to do the mass
trying to make pacts with these entities, man, these ancient gods of old, man. Some really dark stuff. Yeah. I've got some sage here, man. I want to see if we can burn some sage. And I know that you speak in the native language, and if you would speak a blessing over us, and everyone who's watching, and I'll burn some sage, and you can actually go into some detail about the power of burning sage and dealing with different entities. Yeah.
So we use just like the Bible, that when they wiped Jesus down with myrrh and frankincense and all these senses to cleanse his body. Our ancestors have always told us sage, cedar, sweetgrass, all of that is to cleanse the spirit as well, and open away and chase away those dark images and dark forces. And so we always do a prayer with that, and we ask the TruthSeekahs, which are the grandfathers, to protect us and watch over. So I'll say a prayer. Ho TruthSeekah ho oyale wana yung awal wa kapito like chunkuki amanik tlo wana yung apetches a chaplo in haka hoaste wana wambi och betaya here ila yochia wana yung ampeto waste ha wana makasitomni wana wahopa kuso oyate kile wana tanka oyate heaka oyate wana uchach oyate oyate wana tachunka wiko uchoka wana owayanka Royce wana ushika okio wana uchekia wana Shila kile wana TruthSeekah wana omani telo wangla kana uchuzani choni ni chuo wana ampeto washte ha tiosba ya wakaja kile tiopa tiwahe wana omakia wana wahu washte na tukasha azilia ni chuo. Azilia means to cleanse, to open up your spirit, to acknowledge the cleansing of your spirit. So tukasha ampeto wana yuma Doksha wash omani telo doksha o khalamani yuha was washed. Ona chante tiza na su chante yuha na peches a chiapolo ona chante tiza sutaiha, so that you can have strong prayers, a strong mind, and continue to do the work that you do, and ask the ancestors to protect you from that darkness. Ta pejuta shicha ona yuha washed omani telo ona Juta washte una na peches na chante tiza na omani telo na opila umpo chakka hena kipi ona na kile umkupi oyate ona the star nations. I was praying that that you continue to do the work that you do, and that you have a strong heart, strong mind, and that your ancestors, the star nations, will walk with us. So we're all connected. We're all connected to Source. And that Source, and the acknowledgement of our prayers and the people and the language continue to grow spiritually. And we have to understand, as human beings, we have to let go of that instant gratification that we all seek, that sexual gratification, that monetary gratification, that power gratification, and start looking at the spiritual aspect of, the holistic healing, the spiritual, the spirit, the divine spirit, the creation, because we are energy. Yeah. And when we die, we return to energy.
People in the chat now, and that's a beautiful prayer. That's what everyone's saying. It's a beautiful prayer. And they were saying that the language sounds a lot like ancient Hebrew. There's a lot of connections there. I don't know if people have done the research, but about the Native Americans being actually from the tribe of Gad that are mentioned of in the Holy Bible. Do you know any references or any connections there between Hebrew?
I've been called Gad before. So I have a lot of people that say, you're from the tribe of Gad. And so it's like this. The way I was told was that we were one landmass at one time, and we're all connected. And then after time, when Earth evolved, it broke apart. So a lot of those tribes that were separated maintain that spiritual connection, that spiritual language, and that ancient language is what we still have. And like I was told, a lot of people that don't understand the language will never get the language, but if it's inside your innate memory that you're connected to that language, and so you will learn the language and speak it well. And a lot of the people catch it fluently. Some people just catch it. And I've heard a lot of the coincidence, the everything, the similarities. And like I was saying, I get a lot of people that somebody had told me I had a bunch of people speak in Hebrew one day and Shalom. I never learned Shalom, and I look at that and it's crazy because these are some of the you look at the core, and it has a lot of our our Lakota language is embedded.
Exactly.
So I could see that. I could say that. I would love to find out.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of research. I actually did this study some years ago. I'm actually Creek Indian as well, native, which is the Muskogee Creek, related to the Seminoles as well. So we're going to be going to the powwow. So whenever this is released today, I'm going to release this on Thanksgiving. So we'll be at the powwow. And I wanted to speak about something, man, because I remember I got into some really dark witchcraft as a teenager, right? And I got into a place I was in over my head dealing with foreign entities and stuff that wanted to possess me and things like that. So I had to get out of that, and I started going to church. And I went into church and I found freedom in Christ, and I renounced everything. Tried to go to the powwow, went to the powwow that year, and I felt weird. They were chanting, playing the drums, dancing, eagle feathers, and I felt really weird, and I got overwhelmed and I had to leave. And it was because I was just fresh out of like this crazy occultism, right? And it was so like incense, sage, anything reminded me of the darkness that I was involved with. So then I go back maybe 10 years later, I go back to the powwow, and after having what felt like a bad encounter, I go back and I have this spiritual awakening at the powwow when the natives are dancing and the wind is blowing and I'm meeting all these spiritual people. I would just begin to weep and have this. I felt like I was led there by my ancestors trying to show me what we have left of the ancient religion, and this is what we have, and how precious it is and precious it was. And so that was a part of my spiritual awakening, to take it a step deeper. Just talk about how there's just this urge to return to the ancient ways. And there's so many people, a lot of them don't know where to go. That's why podcasts like these and these interviews are so powerful, because we're giving people a piece of the puzzle, a piece of the breadcrumb to say, look, this is what works, and this is my practice, because a lot of people are private with their practice. So actually talking about some of the spirituality behind the practices. So talk a little bit about the returning to the ancient path. And there's so many scriptures in the Bible that talk about returning to the ancient path. Yeah.
When something that you said, being in that dark place, a lot of us, I guess we invoke either the good or the bad spirit. But I've helped, since Stanrock, I've helped a lot of people find their ancestral lineage through ceremony, through prayer, or just talking like this on the phone. And a lot of people have YouTube videos out there that people felt compelled to contact me. And I always tell them this. I says, you were called because your ancestors have turned on the light switch, and you've had this spiritual awakening. And inside, when I tell you, like I was talking about the psychic, I says every answer that you are seeking, you already have within you. And so you just have to activate the right switch. And when you go into prayer and meditation, and you burn the sweet grass, you burn the sage, and you ask the ancestors to help you bring clarity, when you know who you're descended from, they'll show you. Yeah. And most people want to run and rejoice to the highest mountain and scream out that they're native, right? I always tell people, at a time when it was really wrong for us to be Native Americans, a lot of our ancestors had moved away from the reservations and moved into the bigger inner cities and become immigrants. And so it was easier for them to become an immigrant and say I was Native American because of the Indian Extermination Act, Indian Reorganization Act. And so what Standing Rock has brought that around 180 to a point where it's okay now to say that this is who I am. Yeah. And finding that lineage is going back to your great-grandparents. If you can go back as far as to your great-grandparents and then contact the Office of Indian Trust in Texas, and they'll help you a lot of times I tell people to contact, let's start out with the Lakotas, because the Lakotas were the biggest tribe that were moved out to the Trail of Tears to Oklahoma and then Florida.
Yep.
And so we have those two from our oral history. We have those two, Trail of Tears, and then we can go and say, okay, well, this is my great grandparents, and then we can go and contact the tribes here in South Dakota through the lineage and give them your birth date or death certificate. We don't even know that, and so you just give them your ancestor, right?
Yeah.
The last name, and then they'll take that and put it in the system and say, okay, well, we have this name. They moved away at this time, and so it's the starting point for a lot of our people. And I always tell people, just don't give up, because it's if you know inside that you have that native ancestry, then that's all you need, And pretty soon, I said, to be real, the blood degree is a pedigree. And that blood quantum is just a pedigree, And that's how the Native Americans look at it as, oh, I'm 3/4, I'm full blood.
Yeah.
I always argue with my relatives, if you're really a full blood, then we have ancestral lineage going on here.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a cut and you're 3/4 and a quarter, it got to be somewhere along the line that we have, we have always traded, and we had to trade commerce from Florida all the way out to California way before Columbus, way before with the Celts. We were trading with the Celts, so they intermarried. So there goes your bloodline, your blood degree, and your blood quantum. It shouldn't matter, because as long as you say that you're native, I believe you,
Mm-hmm.
So I've awakened a lot of people, but I still have people in my community say, I'm a full blood. Okay, well, you're a full blood, and I'm going to let you have that. But if we look at it, that blood degree and that tribal enrollment number is not a pedigree, man. It's a pedigree.
Look, man, my mom is on the roll. But me and my brother and sister are not. All my cousins are. My mom is. And the Creek Nation down here, they take care of them like big time. They for your birthday, they give you money to live on. They send your kids to school. They give you a lot of money to live on. And they just voted on it if they were going to open it up to first generation descent. And our whole life, our family and friends was like, we can't wait till they open it up for you guys. And they voted on it, and everybody said no, because they were scared that it was going to take their money. They didn't want to open it up to the next generation, which is me and my brother and sister. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of sad. Well, there's a lot of good things too, because I've been paralyzed. I was in prison, and because of medical malpractice, and the doctors that didn't have a medical license that were opening my body up and cutting my shit away. We sued, and we have a lawsuit settlement hearing coming up. They want to settle out of court because, and I'm looking at, a lot of money, but my relatives in Minnesota were the Shakopees. The Shakopee tribe is one of the richest tribes in the nation. Mm-hmm. And so I went out there one week and stayed with my sister, and I wanted to see, because I was confused, if I want to do, to be real, there's not a lot of us that practice our ceremonies anymore, that do the sweat lodge, the sun dance,
the real deal stuff.
And so I was questioning myself, okay, so am I going to become one of these Hollywood Indians and move away from the reservation and live that life like my relatives? Let's go to Shakopee and take a look. The people, man, they had $1 million homes, Porsches, all these.
They wasn't studying no sweat lodge. Yeah.
No, there was no dang sweat lodge in any of those houses, in any of that community. And so my sister was going on and on. I told my sister, before I came here today, I cried, because I do a lot of crying and praying, because I could feel my ancestors'
Exactly.
emotion.
Yeah.
And I wanted to step away from the ceremonies. And after I seen how these people, my relatives, live, all I wanted to do was help them get back to their origins, to help them reconnect with their spiritual way of life. And I asked her, I was going to walk away from these ceremonies, but I'm not going to now. I'm going to stay there, because I'm glad of who I am, because it's helped shape who I am. I want to reach out to that tribe and see if they can allow me to come in there, open up a sweat lodge, and reconnect and teach these brothers how to pray. Because a lot of them are the addiction. The addictions are killing our people. And what that does is leaves a negative spirit here stuck in this realm.
Yeah.
And so how are we getting them home?
Yep.
And then we wonder how a lot of our relatives are being born, a lot of our ancestors are being born in other races. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I mean, so many people, they talk about soul contracts coming back. I was this Native American, now I'm a black person. Now I'm a white person. Okay, well, you're my relative. Come on in.
Yeah.
Crazy. There's a lot of truth to that.
Yep. There's a bunch of questions in the chat room, and I've got something I'm going to ask you too. If you got a few more minutes, I wanted to know if you have had any encounters with psilocybin. If you've had any encounters with psilocybin mushrooms.
No. Okay. I haven't used any drugs and alcohol for 20-some years, and because of my nerve damage, I've had a brother that came to me. He says, "Hey, brother, I've been studying. Mushrooms are good for nerve damage." Because I haven't been able to make love to my girlfriend for years, I was like, "Oh shit, let's try it." Right? And I couldn't wait. He said, "It'll help you walk." It's kind of like reboot your system, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I jumped on it, and I'm just sitting there, I'm doing homework, and it was a time when Syria and the United States were getting ready to go to war, right? Yeah. And so this was like 3-4 months back. And anyway, I was just like, boom, and it hit, and I had the worst trip ever. It started out as a bad trip. Yeah. I seen the chandeliers call, and I live right next to a train depot, so the whole ground was shaking. I thought at that time, I thought we got hit with the nuclear blast. I couldn't breathe. I'm like, oh. And I have this KFO, which is a leg brace that I'm encased in. And I was telling my son, I can't walk. Get up, help me. I can't walk. Stop thinking I'm walking, right? What the hell is this thing doing on my legs? So I took it off and tried to walk. I couldn't walk. And, I started thinking, I'm paralyzed. So so after I went outside and reconnected with the trees and the grass and put my feet in the ground, everything turned colorful. Yeah. Changed all of a sudden, and I can just hear everything. And I can hear the plant nations talking. Mm-hmm. They were telling me that I needed to slow down, I needed to learn patience, and I needed to trust.
So you did get a lesson out of it.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Because I have trust issues. Yeah. I don't trust being in prison. You don't trust anybody.
Exactly, right? Yeah. My brother just got out after 8 years, man.
Yeah, I did 10, man. And so having trust and having that prison mentality. They told me I needed to learn trust and I needed to reconnect to myself, to my spirit, because I was so disconnected with the environment, with the spirit world. So that was an awakening. But that was the first time I tried, and that's probably the last time. And with my spiritual walk, I kind of like threw that away because the mushroom was so bad to reconnect and.
Yeah.
So
learn how to achieve those states without that help.
Yeah, exactly. So. For us guys, we do the ceremony every month. We go to my uncle. He puts all the ceremony. We do a ceremony. We talk with the spirit world, and they come in and they help us. And we just did a ceremony for my uncle who needed a kidney transplant. We helped him, prayed for him, and he hasn't had a transplant yet. But it was because of diabetes. Diabetes. There is a cure out there. We have a cure out there for diabetes. It's just that. We once we start to look at it for our own personal need and not monetize it, then it will work for us. Because the moment people want to monetize, if you ever think about it, we're all broke at different levels. You know what I mean? The upper class is broke. We're borrowing from Peter to pay Paul. The lower class is broke, borrowing from Peter to pay Paul. But it's just doing it the right way through patience. Time and sobriety.
Yeah.
That's it.
Adam in the chat wants to know if you've ever had any encounters with different beings on the reservation. He says like sheep with humans' faces or skinwalkers, real tall cloaked beings or Sasquatch. I know the skinwalkers is a big one that we hear about.
Yeah, we have skin. Well, it's for different tribes. Like they're basically medicine people. They're I guess you would call them in Dene, I want to say Notley, I think it is. It's a spiritual being, or it's a medicine person who kind of like feeds off of your fears, and so he can shapeshifter.
Yeah.
In our culture, Lakota philosophy, we have the idea of Bigfoot as being a spiritual spirit.
Yeah.
So it's a spirit that was laid to rest a long time ago, and when they dug up his bones in the Pacific Northwest, they didn't lay those bones to rest and do a ceremony and bury it up. And so that's the spirit that they see going around. But growing up, I've always had this I don't know if you've had the dreams too of a disc. We're flying on a disc, and in that disc there's these tall beings. It's Bigfoot and my grandmother and I want to say ET or Space Being.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if those are our origins or what, but I've had those dreams before. I've had them a couple of times, but I will share I want to say an experience. I took a friend of mine. She was going through brain. She had a tumor in her brain, and I took her out on this plane on a nice summer night, and I watched this honeycomb come down. It was a honeycomb shaped spirit. It was our ancestors.
Yeah,
they were coming out of the top of the honeycomb, and these little green lights were coming, and they were going back in the bottom of the honeycomb. And they came and danced around us, and one of them was her mother. And I told her, you got a relative that's right here in front of you. She wants to let you know that she's been with you this whole time, and she's going to help you through your ordeal. And she's helped her. And I think right now she's going through some recurring lumps or something, cysts.
Yeah.
But she's here. But there's all type of phenomena that we all hear about, and when you do see it, it's kind of like weird. You don't want to acknowledge it, but. Yeah. I haven't had anything out of the ordinary, just other than, like I was saying, the dreams,
Yeah, definitely. Mercy wants to know, says, I have indigenous Native American ancestry. I want to know about dream catchers. I have a few of them, but some people say don't put them up because they're satanic. Wants to know our view on that.
Some people, okay, there's different tribes that use dream catchers. Our tribe, we use a dream catcher to catch a bad, if a baby's having a bad dream, or if you're having a bad dream, you put the dream catcher up above your bed, and then the belief is that at night it'll catch that dream. And so in the morning time, you take your sage and you burn your sage, you put out your tobacco, and then you say a prayer that you let that release that bad dream from your spirit, from your body, from your mind, and it goes into that dream catcher, and then you can take that dream catcher out and burn your sweetgrass, off your tobacco, and set that dream free, because it's I want to say it's our fears, you know what I mean? A lot of this we haven't, and it's some of them are messages.
Yeah. Even the bad ones, and that's the thing about learning from them all, the good and the bad. Like you were saying on the trip, you started out having a bad trip, and you had to get through the darkness, but it ended up you connecting with nature and getting the messages like, hey, all this anxiety you've been dealing with, it's time to slow down, Royce. You gotta be in the moment, brother. Quit thinking ahead, that type of deal, man. That's the message.
I was thinking a lot because overwhelmed with a lot of stuff, because I was telling I try to protect my family because of when you become a public profile or a high profile figure, you bring a lot of people around your sacred space.
Yeah.
I try to protect my girlfriend and my kids, and I've done a great job, but it just becomes overwhelming sometimes because they come, hey, I'm gonna come around and visit you. All right, they come with a good heart, but they want to see. I've had people come out that wanted to experience what it was like being a Native American.
Yeah.
They had money, had $1,000 throwing around money, and I'm like, wow, if you can help me out, help my family, I appreciate that. One of my friends came out and she lost her credit card, and they took advantage of it. Some other guy found a credit card and went on a shopping spree. But she was a good person. She just came out to experience how Native community was, because different parts of the country, you don't get that experience. You don't have too many indigenous people or tribes in that area, so they come looking for an awakening, or a spiritual guide.
I know it's a form of tobacco, and mixed with some saps and some barks and things like that. Because I know it's not really Native American. I think it's from Peru. But have you ever tried hape or rape?
No, I haven't.
Okay, all right. I just got some and I haven't tried it yet, but I'm gonna do it probably on Thanksgiving most likely. But I wanted to see if you had tried it. But it's from Peru. It's like a bark and a tobacco mixture. It's the green. It's like the snuff that they blow up your nose in ceremony.
Okay.
Yeah.
It had no, I haven't, because I think biggest mind altering was the mushrooms.
Yeah.
That's about the furthest I went.
Yeah, I heard that, man. So, brother, thank you for coming on, hanging out with me, man. Was there anything else that you wanted to touch on that's on your heart, that if you just want to take a few minutes and just kind of get it off your chest, man? Because I know that information comes to you and through you, man, and you're good at actually sending those messages.
Okay. Yeah. One of the things I've been sitting here and gathering was, like, a lot of our relatives that get lost, that lose their direction, that there's always the fact that if you fall down, get back up, and don't give up, because you're walking in a sacred manner right now because of our ancestors that are walking with us. They're helping us to reconnect to that sacred way of life, that old way. And so these old teachings, and like I encourage people, is to remain prayerful and remain peaceful, because we have rewritten history by doing the things that we have done, because of so many, the government wanting us to live one way and telling us this is how we fear each other. You're enemies. You're not supposed to be talking. But we burnt down those walls, and we've erected, a new paths, new awakenings, new, connectedness through spirit. And one thing I like to share is that, if you have those feelings and those thoughts, I've helped a lot of people who's been struggling with, dark forces, dark demons, and I always tell them, carry sweetgrass, carry sage, carry something to burn and reconnect yourself. Because if you carry that sweetgrass and that sage, when you have a part of having a negative thoughts and feelings and wanting to end your life, or, that type of completion, keep that stuff with you and burn it and say a prayer and ask that you expel that negative thought out of your mind, because it's a test. What it is these entities that come, we invite them in by, by not really thinking. We just, nonchalantly, okay, well, I'm open to this. They'll come in. Yeah. And then we don't know, sooner or later we're possessed. Mm-hmm. And so you have to expel that, but you always have to be centered and grounded in prayer. And like I always say, energy. We are energy. And so having that sweetgrass, that prayer, and it's just been an honor to speak here with you guys, and awaken a lot of people, and not to give up, because we are still moving forward, and I do see a lot of change coming. And the good thing is, it's not like what people had expected. The end of the world, floods and catastrophe. The flood would be a new coming of people, a new era, a new time. That's just going to take people by storm, and it's going to come pretty fast. It's that new belief, it's not the new world order. It's our ancestors reconnecting us with source. So, and be positive. I always have my ups and downs, but once I light my sweetgrass, then I'm recentered again, and I always stay recentered.
Yeah, that's about having like the medicine bag with you and actually carrying it, taking it with you wherever you go.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So that's my only advice. Parting advice is, to be, acknowledge your spirit. If you have a spirit and you acknowledge and start feeding that spirit, you're having a spiritual awakening. Because a lot of us, we search our whole life for something that's right in front of us. We look for, new what we call genres. These new genres that are coming in. What's in, what's not in. And so once you find that, then you look at, okay, well, here's my ancestors showing me this through our connection. And pay attention to the signs, because they're always there. And they're always there, and we don't see them. And it's right there in front of us. It's always in front of us. So having that spiritual awakening is the key. Feeding your spirit with food and water and tobacco, and do it daily. And I pray like 6 to 10 times a day. But once you have that spiritual awakening, then everything else just comes easy. And try it for like a month. If you don't like it, step away from it, and then you're going to start missing something. Hey, something's missing in my life. What is it? Oh, prayer. All right, that's what it was. And also then you automatically come back to it.
Yep.
It comes back around.
Yeah, part of that grounding and returning to source, man. It's just,
it's true.
And it's easy like that. Like you say, it's not even hard. Like once you kind of have to get to a place where you know that it works, and that this is all I need. It's just even just take a few moments and focus on the breath, focus on the elements, and offer the breath back to the Creator as giving thanks for it and offering it back, man. And it's so powerful, and it just the connected breathing. And we talk about how spirituality is so deep, but the breath Focus on, it's as simple as focusing on the breath and the breathing and offering it back to the Creator. Yes. All right, brother, if you want to go ahead and share your Facebook page, man, let people know how they can contact you if people have questions or they want to join you in your prayer circles that you do on Facebook, man. Go ahead and share that info. Okay,
I got a Facebook page. It's Royce Gay. We have a prayer group. It's called Woa Walamani, WOWAKWALA -MANI, Woa Walamani, which is walk softly on this earth. And if you want to donate, I can put on my PayPal too.
Yeah, definitely.
I have a PayPal website. It's RoyceGay604 at Outlook.com. It's my PayPal. If you want to donate, please do. Right now, what I'm doing is trying to look at different platforms besides Facebook. And Facebook has helped us out a lot, but it's the people that are duplicating the account.
You're getting hacked a lot. Yeah, you're getting hacked a lot on Facebook.
I'm getting hacked a lot, and I'm dealing with a lot of the hackers who have kind of like jumped into my personal life and start, that's one thing I always do since Stand Rock is I try to discredit myself because it became overwhelming, And so my running joke was I used to go to these websites, these adult websites, and talk to the women and ask them, why are you, in my culture, in my ceremony, a woman is sacred.
Yes.
They have a gift to bring life into this world. What happens when you're here? And I gave myself this name, Jesus Obregon, because a lot of people would say, oh, you're a Messiah. I'm like, no, I'm not. And so I started teaching the people. And it's just kind of like, instead of discrediting myself, it just blew up overnight. And people were just like, oh, man, I feel this guy's doing some great stuff for these people. And he's all over the place. And I was just right at home. I didn't go nowhere. I would reach out in different platforms, trying to find that platform that would work, that would reach the most people. And I found it through YouTube. Facebook was great. But once they started duplicating the accounts, it got crazy. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They just come after, like for Veterans Day, I posted up a chief, and somebody went out there and put up a naked lady right beside it. A little sooner than I put the post up, I didn't even get to say anything. I didn't get to write any comments or nothing. I just put a picture there. And it swiped the laptop, it went blank, and then the lady says, "Here, I got this picture for you." I'm like, "No way, that's not mine. That was one of the bots." But my sister actually found out it's the people in California. Somebody in California, like we were saying right before we did this broadcast, I would try to log in my Facebook account, and I was logged in Fresno, California. So Fremont, California. So it's just let them do their thing. I know my walk. I know my walk, and like I'm saying, that wouldn't be me if I was out there, making pornographic. Because there's this malware right now, malicious malware. It's got me like on 112 million views. So the people that follow me, I see it. Okay, he's doing something that's big. They look at the views, and so they want to click onto it. When they click onto it, it's malicious malware,
Mm-hmm.
And so I always tell people, be careful, because these are the people that have nothing better to do but sit around all day long and try to corrupt your account, get into your bank account. So
they're trying to get tricky, slick with it. I've been getting emails like crazy trying to get me to click stuff. Yeah, some of it's convincing, man.
Yeah, I had to close my account with my bank because of that, and so I'm always staying ahead of them. But like I was saying, when people see that you have a good heart, they want to try to circumvent what you're doing, and try to knock you off. I'm not on no pedestal. I'll just do, like I say, I'm a common man. I make the prayers. I don't call myself a medicine man, but I call myself an Cherry Chasha, which is a common man. And so, that's carrying me a lot further than, people word of mouth. And word of mouth spreads pretty good.
Yeah. But
when you actually see what you're doing, and it's okay, and it's hard for me to accept that because I look at myself as a humble person.
It gets squirrely, man. You get all these messages and how your message is so powerful and how you've helped me, and then you're like, man, I'm just a regular person. It's weird how to kind of process all of that, because you're the superhero to some people,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
to your family and friends, you're just a regular person. And that's the same thing that like Jesus went through, man. He says that a prophet is without honor in his hometown because they all know him. They all grew up with him. But to the other people who are traveling and going into other cities, he's a medicine man. He's a healer and things like that.
Exactly.
So, but to his friends, like, oh, man, I grew up with that dude, man. That dude's up to his old tricks, you know. That type of deal.
One time I took a picture of my feet because after I've had my body was compromised. I don't know what happened. One out of 9 million, 1 out of 100 million, it said. So because I had my compromise in my skin, I had all these people come from all over the world coming and checking me out, and a lot of them said, "Let me look at your feet." And so I was showing my feet, top of my feet. It had these, like it would bleed, you know. And so I showed it to a religious woman. She said, "Oh, stigmata." So after she fell out and fainted, she woke up. Had a whole brothel of religious people come in, and I'm like, no, it was it was her that said it, but it wasn't me. It was her, you know. So she spread the rumor, and so it kind of spread like that. And so I think I've been reeling from that. But like I was telling people, you know, I'm just a common man. But a lot of people elsewhere have said, you know, you have helped in so many ways, and that's what kind of brings me to tears because in my mind, I want to help a lot of people because our world shouldn't, our country, our communities, our homes, it shouldn't be that way where we're always, you know, shaking your hand with one hand and then stabbing you in the back with the other. You know, we should all be, like I say, love and light. If we're light warriors, then we should all have love and light continuously. You know, not just because it's Palm Sunday or just because it's Passover, but every day. You know, we should always be, you know, walking in the faith. You know, so.
That's it. Well, brother, thank you so much for coming on. I enjoy the message, and I'm going to reach out to you soon, brother, and we'll probably do this again. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, Royce.
All right, thank you, brother. Take care, man.
God bless, bro.
All right, take care. How we disconnect?
There he is. Royce Gay, ladies and gentlemen. Go at him on Facebook. He's, like I said, he goes live and does prayer, and he has a huge following, man. There's a lot of people who are affiliated with him, and I guess it was from the Dakota Access Pipeline, which he referenced a lot, that I guess he met a lot of people, and he's affiliated with a lot of people through that, and that was big, and that's right up his alley. And so it's kind of weird how the militias and everybody wanted to get involved and so, but I guess that's a good thing. I mean, if you got people wanting to take up arms to protect you. I mean, because they were doing some pretty brutal stuff up there to the indigenous people, and that whole thing was insane. That whole ordeal, man. So that's some of the people who were in it, man. He was on the front lines. So Royce K, make sure y'all add him. It was cool that he talked about the different entities that he's seen in the room, the ancestral spirits, because me and my daughter experienced something very similar, stargazing outside in our backyard one night, which was those beings that looked like fireflies. But they were huge, like they were big. They were like big fireflies, and they were blue and green. Like the fireflies are like a yellowish color, but they were blue and they were big, flying around, man. And they were just a bunch of them just going in circles and stuff, and then they just disappeared throughout the forest just long enough for us to see them. And we called them fairies, and it was a real magical encounter to have those things all around us, and they just flew into the woods. And then after we had that experience, I came in and tried to find anything online of some type of insect or bug or bird or whatever that lights up like that. And there was nothing that I could find online to show me what that was. So that was a magical encounter that sounded a lot like his ancestral experience that he talked about that happened inside, he said, which was really beautiful. And that was when I was going through a lot of different experiences in my awakening, and I was having these type of encounters all the time, through stargazing, through going out there and spending that time, because that stargazing is a time of meditation, is a time of prayer where you're able to be still and be quiet and just gaze upon the heavens and focus on the things above. That's what those scriptures mean, to focus on the stars, focus on the heavenly realms and the things that matter, the things of eternity. And it says that the things that are here on earth are temporal, but those things that which are above are eternal. And the scriptures are true when it means that. And beautiful encounters by staring at the stars. And I can't wait to do some more of that. The weather's getting nice now that we can actually spend some time outside and do that. So I enjoy this podcast. I enjoy all of them. Everybody has something different to bring to the table. And I find common ground to deal with everybody. And it really meshes in with the message of I have become all things to all men so that I can win some. And then there's some stuff in every episode that we've done. I can't think of one. Even the hard to swallow episodes, the Jordan Maxwell's and the Santos Bonacci's. Like, there's so much lessons in that stuff that even if it's not the message, there's other underlying messages that if you're listening, you should be able to use wisdom to pull from that. About getting in over your head and just giving up, like a lot of that stuff, man. Because you come under attack, you come under scrutiny when you receive a platform, and you're as big as those guys, man. So there's something to reflect on every episode that we've done, and they've all been beautiful. And I've been doing a lot here lately, and I have a lot more planned ahead of me. So I'm going to say thank you again to everyone who is supporting on Patreon. Begin and end each show that way because you guys are awesome. If you guys want to support, you can head on over to patreon.com/TruthSeekah and sign up for any level of giving. If you support my channel, you support my show, help me to create these podcasts. These podcasts are free for you to consume in the whole world, but they're not free to produce. It costs money to make all this stuff happen and to keep everything going fresh and taking everything to the next level. So thank you again. Patreon.com/TruthSeekah. You get extra podcast episodes, Patreon only chat room, and you also get my full discography, 10 plus albums, plus the new music. There's a bunch of new music over there, and I'm about to finish up some stuff that I'm going to upload as well. So with that, I'm going to say peace and shalom. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Share it with a friend. Make sure if you're listening to this on YouTube, make sure you click that link in the description to subscribe on iTunes or Android. And if you're listening on iTunes or Android, make sure you subscribe on YouTube so that you can be notified when we go live and we open up the phone lines and get into some dialogue and discussion, because this is an interactive show. Thanks everybody for hanging out with me in the chat. I keep my eye on that thing and try to maintain dialogue at the same time and weave some of your questions, even seamlessly. If I don't stop and say that we have a question in the chat room, I'll try to seamlessly just bring it in the conversation. So with that, I'm going to say peace and shalom. I love each and every one of you guys. Peace, peace.
Your way is so much higher than mine, so much higher than mine, so much deeper than mine, so much deeper than mine.
Well, that does it for this episode, folks. To hear more episodes of the TruthSeekah podcast, head over to TruthSeekah.com. And if you're wanting to support the show and get rewards, go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/TruthSeekah.